Good evening, Luang Po. Thank you for your guidance 2 weeks ago regarding the factors and the hindrances. This evening, I have a question regarding meditation. Normally, I do anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing. At the moment, I would say relatively, I'm a beginner. I'm probably practicing for about coming to 5 years. In some scenario, or especially recently, the weather is very hot. So while I try to watch the breath, sometimes the hot or the heat is a bit overwhelming. So in that scenario, do I switch to contemplate the fire element, or should I contemplate that when the so hot, then there is a kind of unpleasant feeling arises, or there could be a kilesa in the mind. So as a meditator, how do I, what is the skillful way that I should consider, as in when do I continue to just continue to watch the breath without just be aware of the other phenomena and then not give up the breath? Or in what scenario do I let go of the breath and then start to contemplate the kilesa or defilement that arises? Or during meditation, I should just continue to practice anapanasati, since I decided to do so, until after the end of the meditation, that under the normal scenario or in the daily life, when the heat start to come again, then I contemplate the kilesas. Thank you.
Well, you probably are aware of that teaching the Buddha gave, Kanti Paramangta Potitika. Patient endurance is the highest austerity, or it's the best quality for burning up the defilements. So always come back to patience as a starting point, especially if you're experiencing some extreme condition like extreme heat, extreme cold, tiredness, or some pain in your body. Patience is a good starting point. So remind yourself, be patient with this, especially if it's a feeling or a sensation that you can't avoid, you can't change. Then you have to accept it and try to be patient with it. That's a good starting point. If you can, then of course, always go to your meditation object. So if you're practicing mindfulness of breathing, you might find that if you really absorb and immerse yourself in the breath, the feelings of heat or discomfort will actually fade out gradually, because you're focusing on the breath, which is very calming. And as you become more focused on the breath, more mindful of the breath from moment to moment, the mind will become still, and the sensations you're experiencing through the body become less and less. So feelings of heat and cold, sounds, sights, taste, smells, and so on, the sense contact, sense impressions will be fading out as you let go of the body and focus more just on the breath itself. And you might find sometimes if you just really become very one-pointed on the breath, your mind feels actually quite cool. And you can feel cool even though outside it's very hot. Or you can feel warm when outside is very cold. Because the experience of samadhi is that it starts to help your natural physical elements of your body balance a bit according to what's needed. So I know some monks who, because they have a skill in just staying with the breath and maintaining a state of calm through their mindfulness of breathing, they can even be in a very cold place but maintain a sense of warmth within the body. And similarly, I know people who meditating in a very hot situation stay very cool. And you'll find that one of the results of practicing meditation and improving your mindfulness is that the elements of the body balance themselves better. And as the mind becomes still, one-pointed, and the physical body also becomes still and quiet, it helps you to endure difficult sensations and experiences such as painful feelings from illness, injury, or heat and cold, and those sort of things. Same with hunger. If you're experiencing hunger or thirst, if you're very mindful, you might find you can be patient with those feelings for a long time as well. So that's your goal, is to bring up mindfulness using the main meditation object, the breath that you use. But sometimes you need to contemplate as well. And so, investigate if you're experiencing heat, what is it? Well, it's sensations on the skin. Your skin is experiencing that heat, and then transferring heat into the body, so you might get sweat and you get changes in your body. So contemplate that. Is there a self in that? Who is feeling hot? What is feeling hot? Does anyone own this feeling? Does anyone own the body that is feeling hot? Contemplate it in whatever way works for you to help get to see it's just a natural phenomena, rather than taking it personally as a self. I am hot, which tends to stimulate aversion, irritation, aversion. I'm hot, I don't like this, and then the mental proliferation that comes from that. If you can contemplate the four elements or the impermanence of the sensations you're experiencing, this can, one way or another, you can get some insight into this lack of self in that experience. Then that will help your mind to calm down and let go of the aversion. But one final reflection you might use is just also metta, goodwill, bringing up the goodwill for yourself at that time, or karuna, compassion. If you're sitting there or working and you're very hot and uncomfortable, to help soothe your mind and bring up a more wholesome state, we'll just bring up the thought of goodwill or compassion for yourself in that situation, directed to yourself. And you may find that that helps you to cope with the extreme heat or whatever it is that you're experiencing.
Thank you, Long Po. We'll try out during the next meditation sessions. Thank you.
Anyone's got other comments or questions? Feel free to click on the raise hand button. There is a comment here, Long Po, or feedback from someone by the name of Vijay. And it's written, I got a new meaning for greed. That is eating food excessively and sleeping for a longer time. It is in fact greed. I'm happy that I'm learning so many things from Long Po. Sadhu, Long Po.
Yeah, food is a really important part of our practice, because you face eating food every day. It's obviously an essential part of life, but the opportunity for defilement to slip into the whole process of choosing food, obtaining food, eating it, is always there. Just how we obtain our food, how we earn our living, how we go out and buy food, choose food. There's plenty of scope and opportunity for introducing the Dhamma to that. The Buddha encouraged us to live within our means, not to be extravagant or build up debts. So, that also applies to food, the kinds of foods we buy. Learning to eat modestly, eat enough for our health, but not overeat. That's a whole practice in itself. So learning moderation, learning to eat nowadays, people have so much choice with food. That's a good thing in a sense. That's our good karma that we have that. But with so much choice, there's so much opportunity to indulge, overeat, or just become obsessed or caught up with, trying different types of food. It becomes an end in itself rather than just a means to support the body to be healthy so you can practice the Dhamma for another day by eating food. It becomes an end in itself. So it becomes an obsession, or sometimes it's a status thing. We like to show off where we eat, what we eat, and so on. The opportunity for different kinds of kilesa to come up around surrounding food is there. So practice being mindful of food. Ask yourself every day, why do I eat? What's the purpose of eating food? What's the point of it? What's the right amount to eat? And then also contemplate the other side of food. Once it goes into your body, it becomes unpleasant, repulsive. You chew food, it doesn't look good if you spit it out again. It looks horrible. Nobody wants food spat out by somebody else or even themselves. And it goes into your stomach, becomes digested, and then it goes out the other end as urine or excrement. Nobody likes excrement and urine. Nobody likes toilets. And yet every day we're eating food that comes out at the other end of our body. This is all an area to be mindful of, because it's true. It's just the way a human being functions, isn't it? We need to eat food, digest it, and then the waste is excreted out the other end. If you can be fully mindful of the whole process of food, then that takes away the intoxication with food. And it just becomes something that you do because you need to eat to be healthy, but you're not becoming lost in it or intoxicated with it or suffering over it unnecessarily.
Any questions, anyone? Everyone seems to be very quiet today, Paul. You wanna tell people about your new screen, Paul?
My what?
Your new screen.
Ah, the new screen. Yeah, there's a new huge flat screen here in the monastery that was sponsored by many of you very kindly. Wayne Jia organized that. So we have a new screen so I can see people on the screen, see into your homes and hear you when you ask questions and so on. So we are appreciative of that. It makes life more convenient for us. And that's the way monasteries work. A monastery is based on dana. So every last thing in this monastery was offered by somebody or groups of people like yourselves, from the land, the buildings, the flat screen, the software, the computers, the bits and pieces that we use for the live stream, and of course food is offered every day to support the Sangha. The clothes I wear, everything you see behind me on this screen through this, the Buddha statue, the ornaments, the flowers, they're all offered. Every last thing in a Buddhist monastery is offered. It's not a commercial venture. We don't buy things in that sense or do business to get profit so that we can buy things. So that's something to rejoice in, just the generosity that Buddhists practice every day throughout the Buddhist world, supporting Sangha, supporting places of worship and retreat, and printing books and all kinds of things that we do, dana projects. And of course, we do other kinds of dana around the world, charity, volunteering, all kinds of things. But the flat screen that you purchase for the monastery is just one of those. We have a joke here I quite often bring up. Say when the land for the monastery was offered, we got all this land with trees and even animals. So the question arose, do the wombats know that they were offered to the monks? Because our monastery land is full of wombats. These creatures, little furry creatures that live in the ground in holes. Do they know they're part of the monastery or not? I don't know. We haven't been able to get it out of them. Do you know you're part of this monastery or not? But anyway, if they want to move on to another piece of land, that's fine. We don't stop them. You know, the deer, they move in and out. The kangaroos move in and out. The wombats move in and out. But they're also part of the monastery.
We're very grateful for being able to be given the opportunity to support the Buddha Sasana. I think likewise, as this opportunity has been offered to support the Sangha, we're all benefiting a lot from being able to keep all of you well and healthy, and to be able to receive the Dhamma and the blessings that you give us even from afar via this whole virtual world. So anumodana to everyone, and also to yourself and to all the Sangha for giving everyone an opportunity to plant the seeds of goodness. There is someone who wants to ask a question here. Susie, Susie, if you're able to hear me, can you please press unmute?
Thank you again for all the teachings and guidance. I just like to ask, because I mean, is that in the mind with these kilesas and the defilements, it's like, I want to know is how to unroot it, because we know practice restraint and then practice. Like today, I know I've been tested and I failed. Before coming, listening to your talk, it's like I just was looking at Long Po Ajahn and tell him I fail, you know, and we've been following and listening, and at the back of the mind, it's like, I shouldn't be doing this. And then I still open my door. I'm so, it's like, it's eating, chewing inside. And it's like, when you say it's really suffering, I bring on to that suffering to myself. And then when you remember it, I would say it really sucks. So it's like, I really feel, how do I really, I mean, it's like, I know how to practice restraint. It's not that I do not know. I know I have to be patient and do. I really kick myself. I mean, it's like, since I have the opportunity to bring it out, so it just like, I really need something to hit into my head again. I thank you.
I think you mentioned all the important things. You know, we deal with defilement on different levels. So number one may be patience. Be patient with your mental defilements as they're coming up and affecting you, and they do cause us disturbance and they cause suffering. And so you have to be patient with that fact. Defilements arise as a result of past karma, because we've given into them before, we followed greed, anger, delusion before, then they're going to keep coming up. As long as we followed them before, they'll come up again. But the important thing now is to practice patience and try to bring up more mindfulness so you can see what's going on in your mind. And then as you become more mindful, to keep the precepts is a way to restrain the defilements. So you keep the 5 precepts, say, every day if you can. So you're giving up the intention to kill, steal, commit acts of sexual misconduct, to lie or abuse others, speak in ways that malicious speech, and then to give up intoxicants. That's already dealing with defilements on the coarsest level. So if you keep the 5 precepts every day, already the defilements are on the retreat, because you're restraining them in your speech, your actions. And that allows you to look at them on the inside. So then you need the mindfulness and the wise reflection every day, looking at the sort of things you're thinking, the attitudes, the views, the mental states that are coming up. And to begin using a more refined mindfulness to let them go. And that's why we train in meditation every day and just basic mindfulness practice every day. This will help give you the tools to let go of defilement.
I will try harder, Long Po. Thank you.
All you can do is try. That's all any of us can do. We just try. And sometimes the kilesas win, and sometimes we win, and it's back and forth, back and forth. But, you know, as the Buddha proved, one day you'll have a final victory and they won't come back. They'll be gone.
Okay, I'll try. Thank you.
Thank you, Long Po. There is one question here. The question is, how should I help a non-Buddhist friend who is about to give birth and have a lot of emotional issues, such as anxiety, anger, and disappointment towards her husband? Thank you.
Probably the main quality to focus on is loving kindness, metta. Metta for oneself, metta for others. You know, we need to develop this more and more in our life. And with metta, one gains patience, forgiveness. It's just such a very positive, nourishing quality for ourselves, for our children, for our friends, the people around us. And it's a quality that we're always running out of. So we need to just keep coming back to developing that. And we can develop it through our actions. So helping other people, doing favors for people, being kind to people, through our speech, the way we speak to each other, the way we listen to each other, speak to each other. And then mentally, practicing metta meditation at least once a day, say before you go to bed or first thing in the morning. Cultivate the quality of loving kindness at least for 5 or 10 minutes every day, I would recommend. And direct it to yourself because it has such a relaxing effect on the body and mind. Even if you're facing emotional troubles, anxiety, worries, fears, metta helps to calm you down. You know, metta is like having your own mum and dad in your mind. You know, when you're a kid, you run to your parents when you're struggling, don't you? You run to them when you fall over, you run to them when you're scared. It's that same quality. It's like having your mother and father there in your mind. You're bringing up that sense of acceptance, tolerance, kindness, all those very nourishing, wholesome qualities. If you're developing metta as a meditation and also in your conduct, and then it will lead on to so many good things, strengthens the mind and brings many other positive qualities into your life. So I would start there.
Thank you, Long Po. Any final last questions? Anyone? Well, Long Po, I think everyone's very happy today. No more questions from the floor.
Okay, we can end there. I wish you all well. May you all be free from defilements, free from suffering.